Welcome back, dear viewers. You're watching Morning Barakah live on Imam Hussein TV 3. Now, the Scottish Ahlul Bayt Society, with the support of Interfaith Scotland and the United Nations House Scotland, launched Imam Hussein Day in Scotland on the 12th of October 2018. Now, Muslim community actors across all generations gather at the Interfaith Scotland Dialogue Centre to celebrate the annual movement and hear of Imam Hussein's merciful message, his stance, his courage and his sacrifice. But what does this all mean? I mean, what impact does it have on the community? Does it put Shias on the map? Many questions arise from this great achievement. So here to help me dissect them all is Dr. Sayyid Ali Abbas Razawi, who's actually on the line from an undisclosed location. Sayyidina, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Is it actually an undisclosed location, or can we say somewhere in France?
For that purpose, I'm here in France to work with some of our colleagues to reconcile communities, because unlike in the UK, and those people living in the UK have, I find, quite a privileged place. Although we have the ability to protest and complain, but at least you can walk with hijab. You know, I've literally seen here women who have had at least the hijabs being grabbed in the last couple of days, and I've spoken to people who have actually complained to me that our daughters and our sisters out of fright are now taking off their hijab. So, you know, this is not something which started 2 weeks ago. Europe in the last, I would say in the last 2 to 3 years, has been going slowly down a spiraling route, whereby it's becoming very difficult to practice in certain places. And in particular now, you know, so anyway, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, look, Imam Hussein Day will go a long way to creating more awareness about the true principles of Islam, the great teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So tell us a bit more about Imam Hussein Day in Scotland. You know, when was it established, by whom, you know, what was the driving force behind that initiative?
So it's a good question that you raised. Back in 2016, a group of us sat down together. So we have an organisation which encompasses all of Scotland, which is known as the Scottish Ahlul Bayt Society. And I guess one of the unique things about the society is that it brings together people from all walks of life and background. So the team got together, and our main aim was, how do we spread the name of Imam Hussein? So one has to understand the dynamics. England is very polarized in comparison to Scotland. There are two countries in all of Europe, I would say, that are very much open to receiving this message. One is Ireland, and the other is Scotland. So both of these countries you'll find are very much receptive. And I came across generation upon generation living in Scotland. You know, you have the first people who came to Scotland, Shiite people, which predates World War II. So the vast majority are from Indo-Pak, but this is even before Indo-Pak was separated and divided. So you've got at least 4 generations to 5 generations who are indigenously, well, they're basically integrated into Scottish society. Who probably don't know their original language and their original culture, but they are Scottish to all intents and purposes. We saw an opening, basically, and the opening was very simple. Let's establish this Imam Hussein Day, because we came to the conclusion that if we can spread the name of Imam Hussein amongst people, then you'll find that people automatically start coming at least to the message of Imam Hussein. We had a blood drive, which is the largest blood drive in Scotland, by the way, faith-based blood drive in the name of Imam Hussein. 95% of people who come and give blood are Muslims. 3% are Sunnis and only 2% are Shi'i. You know, after doing this blood drive, after creating that collateral, after basically integrating at all sectors of society, we went along with Imam Hussein. And the fact was is that I said, well, is this possible? They said, of course it's possible. I said, how is it possible? Let's get sponsorship from the UN. Let's speak to the various different stakeholders, both within the civic, the religious and the political front. And this was then lobbied. After lobbying this day, it became a national day. So the 12th of October, obviously can't be pragmatic to Ashura, they need a day. So we clocked back and we said, look, the 12th of October was the day, or at least
Yeah.
from the research that we did, when Ashura took place. And we came forward, and then we had this officially put in the books to say that on the 12th of October in Scotland, we will then every year commemorate Imam Hussein Day on the principle that we actually do it. So if for a year, for example, no one tweets anything, nobody does an activity, then the government can strike it off the books. So every year we try and do things in commemoration for Imam Hussein.
Yeah.
And I think the impact's been phenomenal.
So
You as a Shia can go into any church in Scotland and say, I'm a Shia, and they'll let you pray there.
yeah.
You know, you will have support in Scotland, the kind of support that growing up in England, we may not have had.
Yeah.
So I think it's had an impact, but yeah, please.
So, sorry, I was going to say, Said, before we get into the impact that it has on the local community for Shias and even the regional community for Shias, what was your role? What was your specific role in the establishment of Imam Hussein Day?
We're the founders, we're the pioneers of it. The idea was from us, and my team, which is a five-man team that we have, went forward. Each one of them went to speak to the various different sectors involved in this. So the people who sponsored us, believe it or not, so we had Interfaith Scotland, we had the Christian communities, including our national church, which is the Church of Scotland, who helped us on this. We had the United Nations, of which our offices are actually based in the UN House, so that was easier for us to do. We had the support from the Sikh and the Hindu communities. We had support from Civic Scotland itself, so the Lord Provost. You could say we had also support from members of the Parliament, so that we call it the MSP. So they're basically the members of the Scottish Parliament.
Okay.
So when all of these people came together, they supported our plea, you could say, our application, and our application was accepted.
Right.
And there we are. We had Imam Hussein there.
Fantastic. I mean, so again, if we want to delve into now what it actually means for the local and regional awareness of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the Shia faith overall. You mentioned examples like, you know, they can go into a mosque and say, I'm Shia, and people would instantly recognize them. But what else is there that's going to be positive, inshallah, for the Shia community in Scotland?
Yeah. So I think that there are a number of things. I think the first thing is, so what we wanted to initially achieve was, in a time, let's go back to 2017 when there was quite a bit of Islamophobia and there were terrorist activities taking place. We, in essence, wanted to differentiate that Shias are peace-loving people. That's been achieved, I believe. You can go into any sector in Scotland and they will have an understanding of what Shia is, Shiism is. Secondly, we've introduced a flag. You may have seen a picture back in 2017 when Nicola Sturgeon, myself, and Shabir Beg were holding up a flag, a red flag. We took that to Nicola Sturgeon. She understood what it stood for. She understood the fact that it's for peace, for helping other people, for awareness, for selflessness, and so forth. We've coupled with Imam Hussein Day as our blood drive. So Civic Scotland knows that we as peaceful people actually give our blood to help every member of Scottish society. So that's another benefit that's happened. Benefit on top of that is that as a Shia community, when we need something, when we want something, we have access into our local communities that we can go and seek help from. Give you an example. When Afghan refugees came to Scotland, we were able to help 100% of Afghan refugees. And believe it or not, there were 2 tons worth of materials left, and those 2 tons worth were donated, in fact, by the Jewish community. So I think the dynamics in Scotland is a bit different from England or other parts of Europe. And that's really because when we do something like Imam Hussein Day and you advertise it and the Shias live by that, then I think it's a good PR. But you've also got to understand the history of Scotland. So remember, Scotland is a persecuted community. They've been, and in their psyche, they've been persecuted by the English. So I still remember pitching Imam Hussein Day, and we recited some Musiba where we could see that there were members of the Scottish Parliament who had tears in their eyes. There were ladies, in fact, who were actually, tears were in their eyes. We compared it basically to what took place when the wars between the English and Scottish did, and they can narrate to that, and it's online. You can look at YouTube and see when in the Parliament we held an event, which actually happened to be one of the largest events in the Scottish Parliament. We had 360 different organisations, including representation from the EU. When they came, the significance of Imam Hussein was mentioned. And I urge you, go Google it. You'll see it there when Nicola Sturgeon herself talks about, I mean, this is rare from a political leader, and in fact, not just a political leader, but the leader of Scotland at the time,
Yeah.
to talk about the Shia contribution to human society,
Fantastic.
to the charitable society. So it's not just establishing Imam Hussein Day. For us, it's important to do the social work, to do the blood drive, to help refugees. You know, one of the largest things that we've done, or you could say one of the biggest projects, is in Glasgow. We give halal food to people who are unable to eat. We provide food for those people, forget Muslim, for those people who don't have food, for the homeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is well documented, both in Glasgow and within Edinburgh. So, you know, so it's not just about doing an event. It's following it up by doing social and charitable works.
Absolutely.
In coordination with the wider community.
Sayyidina, what can we do to lobby for Imam Hussein Day? I know you mentioned that the dynamics are a bit different, the demographics are a bit different, but what can we do to lobby for Imam Hussein Day here in England, or actually any other country if they wanted to?
I think the easiest route is really, so now that we have help from the United Nations, I think, so for example, you'll find that there's Gandhi Day or other things like that. So I would go twofold. I would first of all go for the United Nations route. I think within England itself is difficult. You know, I can't see it happening because we're just not in that space. We don't have the unity at the moment, and we don't have the networking in England to be able to achieve that. But I think on a European, on an EC perspective and on the UN perspective, I think it's more than possible. And if there are people willing to help, well, we can start the ball rolling on that. But of course, everything requires a level of funding and a level of commitment to be able to push that across the line. Yeah.
Sayyidina, what's been the response of the Sunni community in Scotland to Imam Hussein Day?
Do you know what? The thing is, Glasgow is probably one of the most sectarian places in all of the UK.
Wow.
And but if you go back to 2017, the killing of that Asad Shah, you know, that chap that took place in Glasgow. But I think Luton and Glasgow probably are two of the most, of course the Midlands as well, are very polarized in terms of the Sunni-Shia dynamics.
Okay.
The wonderful thing is, though, that the Sunnis have actually supported us.
Oh.
And in this Imam Hussein Day, some of the key imams, the Barelwi imams, so just to explain to your viewers, the Sunni community in Scotland are really divided into two. They're the Deobandis, and then you've got the Barelwis. So you may ask who the Deobandis are. The Deobandis originate basically from India, but if you look at the Taliban are Deobandi. They're not Wahhabis per se, so they're Deobandi. Right. If you look at, for example, some of those people who are killing Shias in Pakistan today, the vast majority of them are from a radical Deobandi. Not all Deobandis are like that, but you've got the right wing of the Deobandis. Right. That's prevalent within Glasgow. So there is a Deobandi element which thinks Shias are kafir. But you know, if you speak nicely to people and say, look, you know, we're not here to impede on your ground. You carry on what you're doing. Let us do what we're doing. You know, leave us be. And so far it's worked like that. The Barelwis have supported us. And they've, in fact, we had a candle lighting on the 12th of October. Yeah. And you could say the town hall, you could say. So Edinburgh has a city chambers. Yeah. That city chambers is run by the Lord Provost. The equivalent in London would be the Lord Mayor of London. The Lord Mayor comes in for a year, but the Lord Provost is there for 5 years. The Lord Provost hosted us for a candle lighting session. It just so happened that this entire Palestine and Gaza situation kicked off. Right. So we felt it even more important to be there. The Lord Lion came to light a candle. Now that's massive. Now for those people who don't know who the Lord Lion is, the Lord Lion represents the royal household. He represents the king. So the Lord Lion came dressed in his regalia and his red, and the pictures are online. And he came and he lit a candle for Imam Hussein. The Lord Provost gave a 5-minute speech about the significance of Imam Hussein. And then you found members of the Jewish community, well, at least there was one member, not members, but one member of the Jewish community, Christian communities, the Sikh communities, the Hindu communities, and the Sunni communities all came and said, this is very needed. We all accept Imam Hussein as a figure of peace. For him, let's light a candle. Right. And it's online. You can see it. It's all there. They all came, they lit a candle. Yeah. So I think that Imam Hussein is one figure. When people come to know about him, I always say, just tell them about Imam Hussein. We're not evangelical. We don't need to convert anyone. We just need to tell them about Imam Hussein. Yeah. Ahlul Bayt take care of everything else after that.
Sayyidina, There's been a rise in Islamophobia quite recently after the recent events, as we know. How will initiatives like Imam Hussein Day help alleviate some of the struggles of Islamophobia?
So, if I was to say that it's going to alleviate Islamophobia, it's not the case, but it can help to bring down some of that. So what we ended up doing was, let's say, with Imam Hussein Day, with the visuals that you see, when it spread across communities, the moderator, who's the head of the Church of Scotland, when she tweeted, she talked about it. She has a following of Christians. The Catholics, they tweeted, they spoke about it. Yeah. They have a following. Yeah. The Episcopalians, they have a following. The Sikh community, they have a following. The Hindus. So when all of their leaders are coming and they're tweeting and they're putting it on Facebook and they're talking about it, naturally there's an impact within society, within their congregations. When you have, for example, Police Scotland coming or other members of the civic society, that then trickles down. This information is passed down. I wouldn't say everyone in Scotland knows about Imam Hussein Day, but there are growing, there's an evolution of people who are coming to know about Imam Hussein Day. So when we're doing our events, when we're doing our tabligh, we're telling people who Imam Hussein is, we're telling the leaders who they are. They go back to their congregations on a Sunday, for example, on a Friday. Guess where we were? We went here. Here are the pictures online. This is what it was about. Awareness increases. So slowly, as awareness increases, the first thing that comes on in their mind, oh, Imam Hussein's a man of peace. Oh, he had a 6-month-old baby as well. Oh, this happened. And I've literally seen in Scotland, when people come to know, they cry. I've literally seen older ladies or people having tears in their eyes when you explain to them what took place in Karbala, why Imam Hussein is Mazloom, why his family is Mazloom. And we turn around and we say, we're not people who are here to do anything negative to you. In fact, if you need us, we're here to support you.
Ahsantum.
And you'll notice this as well, in particular with the Sikh community, that we work very hard with to support them. And today, you'll see in Scotland that the Sikh community will be there to support us as well. Because of the fact that we've worked with them and worked with other communities.
Inshallah. Sayyidina, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. We pray for your safety, first and foremost. I don't know how volatile it is where you are currently, but inshallah, I pray for your safety and you get home safe as well. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care as well. Take care.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Sayyid Ali Abbas Razawi, who joined us from an undisclosed location, actually, in France. The reason why it's undisclosed, because I spoke to him off air, and he said to me, look, I can't actually go to a cafe or a place that has internet, because I don't even have to wear my attire, like his turban or even a dishdasha or even the hat. I just need to go outside and people will give me looks, and that's a place in France. So, he apologized for not being on the video call. He apologized for not being in the studio. But in essence, we thank him for his time, and inshallah he gets home very safely. Inshallah. Coming up after